You're listening to the Moist Boys Podcast.
Rogue One really works if you know what happens directly after that movie ends.
I think it works even if you don't.
Even if you don't, it's still a great war movie.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing what comes immediately after it, and it's like, oh, okay, that sets up all of this stuff. I am also probably super in the minority of the people who are I didn't need there to be an explanation for the weakness in the Death Star. It wasn't an exhaust port. You have an engine that big running something that fucking huge. You need exhaust to come out somewhere. And who thinks some farm kid is going to shoot a torpedo into something that is pushing out air at a crazy amount? Like the rate of like air pushing out of that has to be crazy to then shoot something into it where it will completely perfectly keep its trajectory going into that against that current to blow up the thing.
Bro, use the Force.
Yeah, exactly. He used the Force. Like, you don't need to like logic the weakness into the Death Star. That's part of it's like, that's how cool the Force is. He literally magicked a weapon into something that you should not be able to get a weapon into.
Yeah.
That's how I've always felt about that. So like everybody's just like, oh, well now they fixed it. They fixed why the Death Star had that thing. It's like they didn't need to though. Because of course, if you're going to build something that is a giant vehicle, it needs exhaust to come out of somewhere.
I liked it both ways. Personally.
That being said, I still like Rogue One a lot.
I liked that it was the Force. Like, to me, it still is a huge portion of it. I also liked that there were rebels working with inside the Empire, and that's a cool idea that somebody put a weakness into this machine because they were a rebel. Like, that's still a really cool story to me. Did it help Luke? Sure. Would he still have forced it into there with the Force?
With the Force?
Yes.
I've never
jammed it right in there.
I've never thought about it that way though. Like, of course it would have some kind of exhaust port.
That's all I'm saying.
Well,
it's probably got more than one. That's not the only exhaust port.
That was just the only one they found and had on paper.
Yeah.
Or plans or whatever USB drive they were using.
Yeah. Because there's no way that something that big, there's people living on that thing. Like, there's an exhaust port somehow.
You gotta expel all that. All those parts got to go somewhere.
It's literally the fart port.
Yeah.
So on the fart port note, welcome everybody to the Moist Boys Podcast, trading on your nostalgia since 2019. I'm Josh.
I'm Jonathan.
I am RJ.
And I'm the best bro, Heather.
So today I would like to work on exploit everyone's nostalgia for a little franchise known as Pokemon or any other number of
Pocket Monsters
pronunciations that people
Pocket
use.
Monsters is a legitimate pronunciation of it, but like Pokemon is what everybody's mom called it.
Pokemons.
My mom called it Pokemon.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Which it always weirds me out when people our age call it Pokemon, because it's like
So, as to just completely troll for a minute, they're not true fans.
If we call it Pokemon?
No, if we call it Pokemon.
If you call it Pokemon.
Like somebody who grew up with it, who calls it that.
Pokemons.
You don't need that negativity in your life. Unfriend them, unfollow them.
Just cut them out like a cancer.
They are a cancer.
Yeah, they are.
So today we're here to not talk about Detective Pikachu, the live-action Pokemon movie that should be coming out this weekend. Instead, we're going to try to manipulate the algorithm to get our
Let's get on trending, motherfucker.
Yeah, we got to start trending here and get the SEO working to our advantage. So I should have done some better preparation. Maybe someone else can look this up. But there is an artist out there that does realistic lifelike Pokemon. He has a couple of books for sale as well, where you can buy like big art books that have huge panoramas of the Pokemon and like really detailed drawings that are really cool. But I saw those a few years ago, and that kind of implanted the seed and got my brain working about what that would look like with a more realistic style of Pokemon.
RJ Palmer.
Yeah, RJ Palmer. Shout out to him. You can.
Hey, RJ Palmer, please sponsor us.
Please sponsor
We also
us.
have an RJ.
Send us your realistic Pokemon drawings, please.
Send us your nudes.
Send
Not
Poke
your-
nudes.
Okay, nudes. So today I want to talk about the idea that's been percolating inside my head for a live action Pokemon featuring these inspired by these drawings that I saw. So it would be a more not only more realistic, but a little more like the Pokemon have a more like not necessarily terrifying, but some of them actually are like, if you ran into those in the wild, you'd be like,
No, they're fucking terrible.
oh shit, I better turn and fucking run because
I
this
just
shit's
peed
gonna.
myself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Eevees, like I know that they're supposed to be like little the evolutions are also still scary looking.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be in an alleyway with that thing. No, thank you. Gotta go.
And just a giant Snorlax sleeping in the middle of your street would be
Fucking
not only
nerve-wracking.
like kind of scary, but just really annoying. Like, God damn it, I'm going to be late to work. There's a fucking Snorlax
Yeah.
blocking my way.
The
Can't get to
Gengars, by the way,
Viridian.
the Gengar drawing he does.
The Gengar is so creepy.
The Ghastlies, the Gengar. That's
The I can't remember which one it is. I want to say it's his rendering of Giratina like haunts my dreams, because while it's a giant dragon, his interpretation of it being a giant centipede dragon is like, oh, I don't need that in my life.
That being said, his Dragonite
It's so derpy and
is
adorable.
the derpiest dragon I've ever seen in my life, and I could sleep on my couch.
I know we're not talking about Detective Pikachu, but I do wonder how many live action Pokemon we will get to see in this movie. I mean, they've shown a few off in the previews, I believe,
Yeah.
other
yeah.
than Pikachu.
You see a Psyduck.
See Psyduck, Jigglypuff, Snorlax, Machamp. You see a lot of
Squirtle in there?
Ninjago. or
Charmander
whatever
was in
they're
there,
called.
right?
Charizard's in there for sure.
Charizard, yeah.
Squirtle,
Say
Bulbasaur.
Lucario? Don't we see a Lucario?
That's the one.
I think a Lucario's in there. I think a Pancham is in there as well. For all of you non-one geners out there who know what that Pokemon is, high
For
five.
everyone under 20.
Fuck off.
Only the first gen matters. There, I said it.
Oh my god.
I am. I stopped after 150 or
Terrible.
whatever it was, 151.
I did not.
The
We
one-
did not.
The ones
Yeah.
that inspired me for this are mostly first generation, so that's mostly what I'm going to be pulling from. Only because having over 700 different types would be just
Not types. Pokemon. Individuals.
Species.
And the first gen are the
Not
only ones
even
we all
species.
really want to see anyway.
yeah.
God
I
damn it, RJ.
I mean,
Well,
if you're gonna have a live action PG-13 Pokemon movie, you gotta have the old.
Yeah, you gotta
person
pull
one.
You gotta-
better
you
give me
gotta
some
go.
Mew in there, man.
Yeah, you gotta go Gen 1 if you're gonna...
Look at all these evolutions. Sorry, I'm looking at the art as we talk about this.
Oh yeah, that Espeon
RJ
creeps me out.
Yeah, RJ Palmer, thank you so much for these. They're
Yeah, but
fantastic.
if you're listening to this, just Google RJ Palmer Pokemon and it'll pop up, and
the
you
first
can
search.
you can look along as we go through these. So the film would start off nighttime, warehouse district. It's a quiet night until the silence is broken by two big SWAT van teams. They drive up to this warehouse. You have two teams of SWAT officers piling out of the van. They would bust into this warehouse, and they'd be going down these long hallways, checking all the doors until they bust through a door. And what I'm picturing is, you're a close up on the face of the lead SWAT guy, and as he busts into the room, he looks up. There's a bunch of blue lights, and then it whip pans around, and there's just a room just full of magnemites and magnetons everywhere, just like electricity shooting out everywhere. But then like a Voltorb drops onto the ground. All the SWAT guys take off running, and then you cut to outside the warehouse, and then just everything just blows up around them. So after that, you would cut to later on. You got fire trucks there, and so one of the things that I was thinking about would be who would be good to be in this movie. And my idea, you would pull Giovanni because he's like the original OP villain for Pokemon. And I was thinking George Clooney would be a good Giovanni. I think it'd be good to see him play a villain. Maybe get a little bit out of his comfort range as a goof, and like see him get angry every once in a while.
Yeah, George Clooney, like in his Ocean 11 like look.
Yeah.
His Ocean 12 look, really a really good job.
Yeah. So he's standing outside this warehouse as the firefighters are putting it out, and then two castings that I'm not 100% sure. You would have Jesse and James there. They would be in like white leather jackets and their white uniforms. There wouldn't be any R's because this would be like a less silly,
subtle,
a subtle version of the Pokemon universe.
So my initial thoughts were based on their pairing in a movie they did not work together in, but would be Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan. I think they'd be better in these roles
than as
working opposed to each other, as opposed to trying to be like a romantic.
Considering they have the same face.
Yeah, and like he does not fit the Harrison Ford character at all. Like Valerian and the
I still want to see that movie.
Planets.
Even though everything I've heard has been mixed to not good, I still want to see it just to kind of make up my own mind on it, I guess.
Yeah, I was mostly just bored because there's no story at all. It's just like action scenes to cut together.
Jesse and James from Team Rocket, right?
Yeah.
What about Aubrey Plaza? Just throwing that out there.
Who would be her James?
I don't know.
Well, while on the topic of fan casting those two that I would throw out who I think have a decent chemistry together, and I think would be really interesting to watch to see
Drew
them play.
Barrymore and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, get out of here. To see them play off of each other in this aspect of this relationship as opposed to what they did previously would be Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. I would fan cast them as Jesse and James.
They would be good. They have a real goofy friendship that I dig on.
They also dated and then now aren't dating. So that might not work.
They can play brother and sister, I guess. Are they brother and sister?
They're not brother and sister.
They're just like childhood in that
friends.
relationship would have whoever got dumped there would have a hard time with that.
Yeah, you just
up the paycheck,
just up their paycheck, and be like, yeah.
So you'd have Giovanni, Jesse, James. They would come to him. There would be some sort of cryptic back and forth between the two of them about, he would be asking them if they had gotten something out of the building. They would say it is, or it's not out of the building. So they have to wait till the fire crews are done putting out the fire. From there, you would fade to a ferry terminal where you see a ferry pull up to a dock. You see a minivan driving off of it. And then, like, for this scene, you would have something like the Arrival theme from Jurassic Park when they're landing in the helicopter and, like, driving through a happy, bright type of score there. And then you would like go down to water level. You would just be like zooming across the water. You would go up over a hill and you see that same minivan and you would push down into the minivan. And then you'd have like a mother and daughter, like 11-year-old who's going to be named Ashley because we're doing the Pokemon thing.
Gender swapping Ash. Yeah. I'm about it.
I dig it.
If cosplayers can do it, people making movies can do it.
Yeah. And then you would see like one of the gyms from the original red and blue. Except it would be like covered in vines and kind of broken down and stuff because like this would be in a world after like when people would like have realized that like trapping animals into prisons and making them fight for your enjoyment isn't really a cool thing anymore. So it'd be kind of like that point where like being a Pokemon trainer, it's been out of style for like 20, 30 years. So
Pete is going to love this movie.
Yeah. Except we're not going to euthanize any of the Pokemon.
So PETA's not going to like this.
So they're going to be against
PETA.
So you zoom in the car, you see that the girl is unhappy and her mom's trying to cheer her up, and they're going to go move in with Ashley's grandmother, but on her father's side. So when they get to the grandmother's house, the mother and grandmother trying to cheer up Ashley, except she's not. She's still upset. At some point, we see pictures of her father with an older guy, and then we learn that her father had disappeared at some point, so he's missing, and it's kind of semi-recent. They don't know where he is. So you get a nice little grandmother-granddaughter moment there.
Is her father Giovanni?
No, her dad's going to be Ash.
No.
Her name is Ash.
Yeah,
That's
she's
what
Ash.
Maybe she was named after
her dad.
him. Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Or grandpa.
Is it Gary? Is her dad Gary?
Is it Gary?
No. It's gonna be a different. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna pull 100% from that.
It's Brock.
It's what we all named
Brock.
Gary in the video games. It's just asshole.
Yeah.
It's
Poopy.
Dirty
her dad.
I always named him Poopy because in Red, he would always say, "Smell you later."
Poopy smell.
Yeah.
Says smell you later.
So I was like, Poopy.
Is her dad Brock? Because we all know that lady's man abandons a few children.
Yeah, shirtless Brock.
It'll come up. It'll come up later.
Okay. We'll
later
get
on
there
in the movie. Yeah. So after you have a couple of establishing scenes there, then you have Ashley goes to school. She sees an older guy across like the busy hallway. She recognizes him as the guy that was in the picture with her dad when he was younger. I would probably go with that name, except he wouldn't be a professor. He'd be like just a regular teacher.
Mr. Oak.
Mr. Oak.
And I know that
Wonderful.
he's considered canceled with some people, but just for like
Boo, cancel culture.
just for the trailer voiceover alone, I would want Liam Neeson in this role, just so you can get him doing a voiceover talking about Pokemon. And
That's fair. I
Sorry,
I honestly
why
don't.
is Liam
I don't think Liam Neeson is actually canceled.
some people are still trying, but I think
Really?
yeah. I
Why are we
mean,
canceling Liam?
So
Neeson?
what happened was when he was younger, this was like 20 years ago.
it was like 30 plus years ago. He was
Yeah.
in his 20s.
He was in his 20s. A friend of his got brutally raped in Ireland, I believe it was,
yeah.
when he was living there still. So a friend of his got brutally raped, and she identified the person as a black man. And so he, being like just distraught and filled with anger, just roamed the streets for a few nights, just looking for the first black person who crossed him.
And like he wanted to make it so that they would try to fight him so that he could beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. He was
Essentially.
just going to try to murder a black person because of the situation and what he was feeling at that time. And he did that for a couple nights and then realized this is a fucking stupid and shitty thing to do and to like a mindset to be in. And so never killed a black person. And
That we know of.
And so he's come out about it and just been like, yeah, so this is a thing that I did in my past and it's not good and feel awful about it. But it was a dark place in my life. And it was that feeling of being in that dark place that he was trying to kind of key into for a role that he was playing, not playing the role of somebody trying to murder a random black person, but just somebody who is in a dark place. And so he's like, yeah, that is kind of a place that I went to, remembering what that rage felt like. And everybody immediately jumped on and was like, Liam Neeson wants to murder black people.
He's canceled. And, I mean, leaving the fact that it was 30 to 40 years ago and leaving behind the fact that we should encourage people to stop being racist and not be like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, you're still canceled. So
Yeah.
once a thought, always a thought. Not
THOT?
no, with a U and a
Oh,
G and an
okay.
H.
The proper spelling of.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, if he had killed a guy, Yeah, it would be a different
story.
Conversation, but like
Different
Different
story.
If you just
story.
randomly beat someone up, it would be different.
Yeah.
If that was still a goal of
He was-
his, it'd be a different.
It's like
yeah,
you said,
if that
he's
was
very-
like, he was like, this was last Tuesday.
Yeah.
He
Like,
was
holy shit,
distraught that
Liam
he
Neeson.
did something he regrets. I mean, he didn't. We've all done stupid shit.
We've
under
all
it.
done
Like,
stupid shit in our 20s.
Yeah.
And we've all thought about doing stupid shit in our 20s and not done it.
right.
Everybody has looked into the void at one point or another.
Yeah.
yeah.
and
So
whether-
I'm not
or not
condoning
you-
his behavior. I'm just saying,
Like, you
it
know,
was coming
yeah.
from a place of wanting to protect someone that was obviously very important to him.
And
So,
the fact that we all need to appreciate that he understood that the behavior was wrong,
Right.
didn't act on said behavior.
That's the thing that people are like a lot
The
of
fact that he
people
was
are just
honest
not.
about it and didn't
And
like
he's
get
honest.
dug up.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
just like,
he was the
"This
one who
happened.
brought it up.
I was upset. I didn't. It was not about race. It was just about I want to fuck somebody up for what they did to
Yeah.
my friend.
And then where the problem
closer
came.
they look to like the person who possibly did this to my friend,
Yeah.
the
Right.
better.
And that was like a lot of people were, and I've heard a lot of people who are all races or whatever talking about this, and like a lot of like black people, it's been like, that was technically, yes, a kind of racism, but I don't think he's a racist. And another problem that kind of came up for him from this was the fact that he did that interview, and then the next like 5 interviews he did after that were all people being like, so welcome to the show, racist Liam Neeson, and him having to like be like, no. So reliving that conversation again. And just like, so every interview he did for a while was that interview.
And he just probably didn't want to have that conversation. That's not something you want to relive over and over and over.
It's
again.
really not.
If it's something you've already tapped into for a role and you've already had to relive those memories,
Yeah.
it's not something you want to re-tap constantly.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not Viggo Mortensen dropping the N bomb this year,
You know?
talking about Green Book.
Oh shit!
Oh, God.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. So that's one
How
of the
is
reasons.
that not a bigger story than this shit?
Because it's because everyone loves Viggo.
Because yeah, everyone loves Vigo.
I'm sorry, everybody loves
Bag of donuts, and nobody wants to get behind Liam Neeson. A lot of what people latched onto was that.
I'm just baffled that happened.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
googling that
Yeah.
right
If I
now.
wasn't on a social media strike right now, I'd
Yeah,
be-
a lot of what people
I've
latched
already
onto
seen 2 posts. I was like, no.
was that in that initial interview, which everybody, like people who were in the room, was like, he used air quotes to emphasize what he was saying, which is why there's an emphasis in his words right there. But he was saying he was looking for some black bastard to kill. And so everybody latched onto that because of the pause and the emphasis he used. But when you're talking like in that, it's like, of course, that he was talking about the mindset he was in. He didn't use the N-word, like fucking hell.
Yeah, so I think the moral of the story is we accept former racists. Current ones go straight to hell.
Yeah, jeez.
Former
If you've
ones,
seen the error in your ways and are actively trying to correct it,
welcome.
will
Good on ya.
we'll have a good conversation with you.
Hey, Liam Neeson, come on the podcast.
We support you, Liam.
We support you, Liam Neeson.
And won't make you have a conversation about this.
We won't talk about
tragic,
racism.
We won't talk about
horrible
it.
We hear you have a
event.
very particular set of skills, and we hope one of them is talking on a podcast.
We'll just make. I'll write you a monologue to do for my fake trailer. But that's about as hard as we're gonna go. So, yeah.
We'll let you talk about your kids.
There you go.
So anyway, Ashley sees Liam Neeson across a busy hallway. She's like, "Hey, I recognize that guy." And then all like at a different point in time, she's like walking to or from class. She sees another kid getting bullied by like this group of kids, and like the kid is like, "Hey, help me!" And she just walks away because that's not where she is as a character at this point.
That's not where I am as a character at this point.
Hey, you getting bullied? You deserve it.
I mean,
No, I just don't want my ass kicked as well.
yeah, I've always been that, like that self-preservation. I'm just like, do I have like,
I'm a big nerd too. Don't
Yeah.
kill me.
do they want 2 nerds to beat up on? Because that's what I'll hand them.
So then later on, either it'll be probably later that day, or maybe a few days later, she actually goes into his office. He can be like a biology teacher. Probably don't have a zoology in like middle school, so have to be like a biology or something like that.
Cryptozoology.
And then she'll see, like, he'll be working on a computer. She'll see some like grainy images of some mythological creatures. Then she'll be talking to him about that, and he'll tell her about Pokemon. She'll be like, "Oh, I thought we'll pull a Force Awakens," and be like, "Oh, well, I thought that was a myth." And then he'll pull a Harrison Ford.
True.
It's true.
All of it.
Luke, the Force.
Nailed
Solid
it.
impression. By the
Maybe
way.
I should do. Maybe I can have it be Harrison Ford, and I'll just do the monologue myself. Let's see. So yeah, they'll have a conversation about Pokemon. Then he'll reveal that he knows her name. She'll be like, "How do you know my name?" Then he'll reveal that yes, he actually did mentor her father when her father was a kid. He was like the last generation of Pokemon trainers. And then they'll be talking about that, and then he'll reveal that like there are powerful people out there that are looking for Pokemon. To do like nefarious stuff with, and that's why he's kind of keeping it a secret. So it's like a secret thing to keep. They want to keep away from everybody. Let's see. At this point, we can cut to like a busy street corner. You'll see someone in like a big fedora and a trench coat walking down the street. Except,
Super non-suspicious.
yeah, except you'll be like. Something will seem a little off about it, and you realize that like the angle is very low, and you're like looking right over this person's shoulder. They'll turn around, and it'll end up being Meowth, voiced by Simon Pegg.
Wrong. Gilbert Godfrey.
No, I'm on board with Simon Pegg.
I'm down with Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg
That's
as
fair.
Meowth.
I'm about that.
So he'll enter the Giovanni's building. He'll go up. There'll be another scene with Jesse, James, and him. There'll be some sort of conversation where
Are they discussing the MacGuffin?
the MacGuffin, and also Giovanni is trying to find Liam Neeson because they know that Liam Neeson probably has the information about where these Pokemon are being held at the moment.
Can I go back to casting for Jesse and James for a second?
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure on Jesse still, but can we talk about maybe Tom Holland for James? James has a very flamboyant way about him, and he's a very dancey, and he's very comfortable with the way his body moves and who he is. And I think that
And he is a man of culture who appreciates anime titties as well.
Yeah. I just rewatched the
lip sync battle.
The lip sync battle of Tom Holland, and it reminds me that he did Billy Elliot, the stage production of Billy Elliot, and I just feel like he would be good.
What about Taron Egerton?
No, he's too middle class.
He's too old at this point, I think.
Also too old
or
at this point.
appears to be too old. Whereas like somebody,
Really?
I mean,
Dane DeHaan is like in his 40s, but he'll always look like he's 12, and he's got like the voice for it, where he's kind of like that, has that like airy.
I don't
voice.
know. Like Dane DeHaan, I feel like I've heard Dane DeHaan talk during movies, but I still can't get like. I could never pinpoint like, oh, that's what Dane DeHaan sounds like, unless it's him being like, "Curse you, Spider-Man."
I think his best role was actually with Aubrey Plaza, so they might actually be able to work well together. But it's a movie called Life After Beth. It's like during a zombie apocalypse, she like gets killed and then comes back to life.
Spoilers.
And he's like hiding her. It's a pretty funny movie. So they have the meeting at the tower. That's when it gets revealed that Giovanni is looking for Liam Oak.
I had to look up to see who he was, by the way. And
Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, I still don't know who he is.
He's the bro from Chronicle.
Oh yeah,
Amazing
I do
Spider-Man
like
2.
him. But yeah, Chronicle is a cool movie.
I never actually saw that one.
That's the one I haven't seen actually. But
It was interesting.
and I feel like that's
Takes
kind of the
place in
same.
Seattle. sort of.
Yeah, that's
The same kind of
Vancouver,
character
but yeah.
where he gets
Wait, for real?
picked on.
I mean, I'm sure
That's
they
what they
filmed it
shoot 'em all.
they film everything in Vancouver and then call it Seattle.
Yeah.
They
You
do
do-
show the skyline at some point.
Well, you do all your second unit in
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah, it still counts.
Yeah.
Just like
Still
iZombie
counts
takes
Chronicle.
place in Seattle.
So you would have after that you cut back to at some point later on back at the school. Ashley, and Liam Oak are having some sort of conversation when Jesse and James bust into the room. Ashley hides in like some sort of closet or something because they are alerted that these dangerous people are coming. Giovanni shows up. They have this confrontation. They're arguing. Giovanni wants the information. Liam Oak doesn't want to give it to him.
Sidebar, I like that his name is just Liam Oak now.
Yeah. Before Ashley hides in the cupboard, like he gives her like this big wooden box that she doesn't know what's in it. He's like, keep this safe.
It's Pokemon.
Shh, don't spoil this movie that's never coming out.
I'm sorry.
There's a squirrel in there.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, so
we'll
she's
find this box.
Yeah.
she's hiding in the thing. They're having an argument, and then in some way that you can get away with it in a PG, because this would try to keep it PG, so you'd have a family thing. Liam Oak gets killed by Giovanni as he's laying there about to die. He yells at Ashley to get out of there, so she busts out of the thing. She goes running down the hall, gets on her bike, rides down to the waterfront. And then you would have whenever I'm picturing this chase scene in my head, I'm always thinking of that from Inception where he's running through
The hotel.
No, we're like through the favelas in Africa. Where are they? Somewhere in Africa.
Is it Cairo? Is it in Cairo?
I don't remember. But anyway, like that theme, like with the really fast drums.
Yeah.
You'd have like that. That would be playing. And if you're listening to the home, just pull up that track from the Inception soundtrack and listen to this while I'm talking to you about it.
It's a real solid track.
Yeah.
Would you have the part that just gives me anxiety every time is where like he's going down that alleyway that's too small and he gets like trapped in it for a second and like has to like pull himself out. And every time I'm just like, oh my God, that is too tight of a space. Why are buildings built that way?
Well, you could have a thing where she's like has to hide behind a bunch of boxes or whatever, and she has to like squeeze through a bunch of boxes, and that's when you have like the different layers of different harmonic strings slowly building on top of each other as they're like standing right next to her, and she's like hiding behind these boxes and trying to get away. Eventually, she does make it down to the waterfront where Liam Oak had told her about a guy that he knows. At the moment, I'm just calling him Nolan in my head because...
Will he be played by Nolan North?
No, this one, I'm thinking Idris Elba.
Oh, okay.
As, like, lovable rogue guy.
Down at the waterfront?
Yeah. I would let him use his natural accent this time because nobody lets him get to do that really in movies. They usually make him try to do something else. I think with
Do I not know what Idris Elba actually
John's
sounds
face
like?
Doesn't know what accent Idris Elba really is. He is English.
Yeah.
He is English.
He's
like
English.
he is in the Thor movies or the Pacific Rim movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Pacific Rim. That's none of the accents in that movie match any of the actors.
Well, never mind. I was just going to say, you're right. He does have that act. I kind of, I'm not going to say anything about the Avengers.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he does kind of have the English accent in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like, have you ever seen the show Luther? That's pretty much the only place he uses his real accent.
It's because it was produced by BBC.
Yeah.
They're going to let him use his real accent.
And
unless
it's
you're
more,
David Tennant.
Because he's less like the posh Victorian, Shakespearean.
More of like you're saying,
like
middle class British.
Yeah, he's the middle class British accent. So you'd have Nolan. He would be on a boat, like a busted down steamer type of deal. So she would be run up to him. She would be trying to get him to be on the boat. Of course, he's going to be like pulling up crab pots or whatever people do when they're in movies.
No.
on when when guys are working on boats where they're just doing busy work with ropes, during conversations every time.
Or just literally just have it be busy work of him just working with ropes but never producing anything. He's just always constantly tying knots to nothing.
Tying knots, wrapping things around things.
Just tying loose pieces of rope into knots.
Yeah.
Throwing it on the floor.
To pots or rigging.
Yeah.
And then at this point, you would see Jesse and James. They would come out. They would probably have guns at this point, so they can start shooting at them. That way, Nolan has a reason to get away. Also, up the tension a little bit. Go a little more old school Steven Spielberg and not have
to be
walkie-talkies.
Stop them! My walkie-talkie.
So it'd be a couple of gunshots. She would jump on the boat. They would pull out of there and get away just in time. So then after that, there'd be a scene when they were out on the ocean. They'd be talking about his family. She would find a picture of his son. They would talk about how he hasn't seen his son because he's been out on the water doing whatever lovable rogues do on the water. At this point, then this would be like this would be the first big Pokemon action scene. I'm thinking an epic underwater battle between a Blastoise and a Tentacruel. I think it would be pretty sweet. You would see that they would like bust out of the water. There'd be water cannons. There'd be tentacles everywhere.
You had me at tentacles everywhere.
Mr. Kraken titties. At some point, the ship would get damaged, and then there would be like a storm would come in with this big battle because of all the water turbulence or whatever would create this like storm system that comes in. They would get washed away. They go underwater. You can cut to black. They would be washed ashore on like a beachy, sandy beach. I mean, beachy sand.
A beachy sand.
A beachy sand.
A beachy sandy beach.
A beachy post-shore area. Real quick, I want to interject. In the liner notes of this, I just want to say there's an interior scene in the boat where they are. They've been like talking and they're kind of forming a little bit of a bond. And I don't know the actual name of the song, so I'm just going to refer to it as what I think it might be called. Then we cut to a scene of them doing a lively rendition of "Show Me the Way to Go Home" from Jaws, just to really.
Well, what I was thinking was, when they get on the boat and since they're like pulling away, you would slowly pull back before you cut to them later on when they're out in the ocean, is having a version of "Wheel in the Sky," but just as like the opening guitar part style, not where the full band comes in. So it would be like a more stripped back version.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm always kind of disappointed when the band comes in and it gets more
that
like
full power chord there.
I wish it would just stay like the plingy. So just like find someone to do like a version of that.
Like just like flamenco style almost.
Yeah.
Rodrigo and Gabriela.
Hell yeah.
Doing "Wheel in the Sky."
Hey, Rodrigo and Gabriela, please sponsor the podcast.
Please do a version of this song. And
please do the theme song for the Moist Boys podcast.
Give us a royalty cut for giving you the idea.
You're welcome.
So I just wanted to pause in the story real quick to get some more casting ideas. So 2 names that I had in my head, and I'm not sure where they would fit in exactly. I would want the mom and then like not Officer Jenny, but maybe Detective Jennifer something or other. So the 2 names that I was thinking were Lucy Liu. I think would be a good in this role because I would want it to be. You would want to all different types of people.
Okay.
So I think she would be good as like a detective maybe, or even the mom.
Oh, you're gonna have her. Oh, okay, gotcha.
One of those 2, and I think someone that's underrated as an actor. I would have Olivia Munn play one of these parts. I think I would probably throw her in as the detective.
Same.
Or second choice. Or actually, you know what? Who? Yeah, I would throw her in the mom position.
Is that
you know what?
Please explain.
Go on. Fuck all of you.
It's like Missionary, but she's making you dinner at the same time.
It just makes you feel real safe. Anywho, fuckers.
Calls you a bad boy the whole time.
No.
Tells you to go to your room.
Don't. God damn it. Anyways.
Are you gonna put me in the mom position later?
God. Well, this went off the rails. Anywho,
Anyway.
I would.
Were there rails ever?
Were there ever rails?
Who
to
was
begin
getting
with?
railed?
The mom, apparently.
Damn it.
Railing that mom.
Anyhow, I would cast Constance Wu as the mom.
Ooh.
Okay.
What is she in again?
She's in Fresh Off the Boat. She's also in Crazy Rich Asians.
I've not seen either of those.
Okay, I will.
You should, because they're both great.
Also,
Constant Woo, we love you.
please sponsor this podcast, Constance Wu. Just a random side note: she's a smoke show.
I don't know what that means. Mom was going to let it lie. Is that similar to a mom position?
Kind of.
Okay. I can see that. She could. Any one of those three. I mean, you're not going
Hashtag smoke show.
to be able to go
Smoke
wrong.
Show. Also, secondary choice. Sorry, but she is secondary choice. Ming Na Wen.
Ooh.
Also hashtag smoke show.
She could be.
Also, don't know who that is.
She's
Really?
from ER.
Oh.
She was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D..
She did
Yeah.
Mulan's voice.
She did Mulan's voice.
She would be good
really?
as
Yeah. She was Chun-Li in the Street Fighter movie.
She was.
Okay.
She'd be good as a Nurse Joy. You could pull her in there because that would
Ooh, that'd
work
be
well with this part where they wash up on this village. At this point, Nolan would disappear for a while because Idris Elba's gonna be busy with a lot of stuff. So you just want to
Yeah.
not get him too invested in this.
Let's cast more Asian people so we can pat ourselves on the back as a group of white people.
While simultaneously denigrating them for their looks, objectifying them.
We're
Help
just
it if
saying
Asian
hashtag
people are
smoke
sexy.
shows. We love you.
We love Asian people.
So actually
I was
washes.
just gonna say we love them specifically.
Okay, yeah, them specifically.
I
Yeah.
was not going to go on the racist tangent.
It's not racist.
Stereotyping.
How sexy they are?
Yes.
That classic stereotype of sexy Asians.
It
That
is a
probably
very
is.
classic
That's fair,
stereotype.
but it's earned.
When I say it out loud, it does sound a lot worse. So Ashley washes up on the shore. She gets brought into like a doctor's office where you get your nurse Joy. She also meets, you could introduce another child character, like a little boy around Ashley's age. They get to be friends. After a certain amount of time, you'd probably cut back and forth between Jesse and James and Giovanni because you always want to have Jesse beating up on James and then Giovanni getting pissed at both of them. You could throw a Persian in there getting angry. You could have some scenes.
Persian like the Pokemon, not
Yeah.
somebody from Persia.
God damn it.
We have to go back and clarify. I was not going to say anything to see if you.
That's not me trying to get Cliff Curtis into this movie. That's me talking about the Pokemon. Apologies to the world.
Also, again, we need to find a character for them, but we need Daniel Day Kim to be in this movie, and Yoon Jin Kim as well, just to get that
Lost reunion going.
Lost reunion going.
They could be. Oh, you would want to have to get the officer Jenny in there. You can have some scenes in in a police department. You can bring one of them as like the lieutenant that's in charge and have the two detectives go visit the mom, explain what's going on. I'm not sure exactly how yet you'd want to get whoever plays the mom kind of involved in the story, but I would want you want the mom character to do something more than
if you're spending Constance Wu money, she's going to do something in the movie.
I mean, to be fair, in Pokemon Red, all your mom did was just be like, go have an adventure.
Here's your fucking backpack. Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
I gotta fuck Professor Oak.
I got a man coming over later. Get out of my house, kid.
Let me introduce you to Uncle Professor Oak.
That was probably like the whole thing was awful, but that was like the first sign for me that something was going wrong in the Pikachu I Choose You, where they completely rewrote the entire Professor Oak thing.
Yeah.
Where he just like goes up by himself this creepy old guy's like. They got rid of all the people that were cheering for him, and like his mom just like throws a backpack at him, like get the hell out of town, son of a bitch. Like it wasn't like a thing; it was just she was just kicking him out of the house.
Yeah, and then one of the most egregious things in that movie was that
it was made.
The fact that it was made. I mean, I was fine with the idea of it being made, but like how hard they went into the like revisionist history bullshit on that. Not having Brock or Misty be in it at all, and having it not be about the friends that he makes on his journey until he meets the new movie friends that he befriends.
I mean, the point of the original show was literally about the friends you make along the way.
Literally is the point of the show. Not for this movie.
No.
And then also nobody goes to Celadon City for their third badge. Never in the history of the game. Movie is canceled.
So yeah, if you have Netflix, just go on to Pikachu I Choose You, start the film,
watch it.
Immediately go down to the thumbs down and then leave. Don't even interact with it. So after she's in the medical center and she gets all patched up, she meets this kid. She tells him she's trying to get to this place. He says, "Oh, that sounds familiar." So they go to this tower. And that's where you have the Lavender Tower, where all the ghosts are.
Yeah.
So I think you could have like a really cool, creepy thing where she has to go up. She has to go through this tower. There's like actual scary ghosts, and if you go onto RJ Palmer's Google thing of the Ghastly and Gengar and that, it's actually scary ghosts. Like you want to give kids a good spook now and then.
Have we haven't discussed casting for Ashley.
I think that'd be really hard to do, just because in the theoretic, I don't know very many children actors.
Are you not Googling child actors all the time?
Nope, I tend to not Google pictures of small children that could be in movies.
I don't know her name. She plays 11 on Stranger
Millie
Things.
Bobby Brown?
Thank you, Millie Bobby Brown.
Decidedly not Asian if her mom is Constance Wu.
Yes.
I mean, Constance Wu, Lucy Liu, or Olivia Munn, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Olivia Munn would be... They look similar.
Yeah. I mean, Millie Bobby Brown could be Olivia Munn and Quarterback Bros.
Well, when I reveal who the dad is, then you'll realize that
it's not possible.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Is it Ash?
No.
Is it Brock?
Did I spoil it? Is it Daniel
Oak?
Day Kim?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Professor Oak.
I completely forgot about the two of them, but it would be good in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So yes, they go up in this tower. She gets to so it's like a tower where you have to go up to the top, and then you go through a thing, and it takes you into it, it's right up against a mountain. So it's like a staircase up to a mountain pass that you have to get to, but you have to nobody goes through there because there's all these ghosts and everyone is too afraid. So when she gets to the top, that's when she runs into there's this ghostly figure. Oh, Benedict Wong needs to be in here somewhere too. It's not just gonna be Asian people.
No, I know. We're just leaning hard and fuck. Ken Watanabe needs to be in here.
Yeah.
Because
Ken Jeong needs to be in there.
Yeah. Because
if you need someone to scream, Michael Bay ruined him for me. So
that's fair.
Michael Bay ruined a lot of things.
But you need a moment where there's going to be a Pokemon battle, and then Ken Watanabe says, "Let them fight."
So the person I was thinking to play her dad is Hiroyuki Sanada. He's in a film called Sunshine with Chris Evans. He plays Shingen in The Wolverine, her brother, I think it is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's who I was thinking for her dad.
Okay,
he's got the gravitas and the voice, and
yeah, for sure.
I want him to be my dad too. So I was like, who do I want to be cast as my dad if my dad was?
Who do I want to call Daddy?
I want to call him Daddy. So that's who I think would be good for that.
That's fair.
But
in that case, I want to go back and then say the original that popped into my head when we were talking about the mom character. I'm going to say Susan Sarandon. Probably too old for that role right now.
I'm gonna stick with my two choices.
Yeah, it's fair. I got nothing.
And then you can cut back to have, because I have a pretty loosely sketched out thing here, so you would have more scenes with the mom, Giovanni, and cutting back and forth. Everyone's trying to get out to this island to get to this thing. So yeah, she gets up to the top of the thing. Her father appears. He's trying to dissuade her from going through the thing. She cries. She says, all this stuff, and then she realizes he's not her dad, and that's kind of like her rite of passage to get through the doorway. So these two characters, Ashley and this little boy, they go through the doorway, and they get out into this like valley area.
Trying to think in my head, like, I know he's like 23 at this point, but Finn Wolfhard will always look like a 12-year-old. Maybe we don't go that route though.
No, maybe like if you find the next John Boyega and Attack the Block, something like that could work
that's
too.
Fair.
So they go out into this valley, and this is where like you really start picking up into the live action Pokemon stuff. And I was thinking like even ramping up the sizes to make it be more like a Jurassic Park feel, rather than like this Pokemon's 4 feet tall, and you're like, yeah, it's not too intimidating.
That doesn't make Ponyta is 2'4".
Yeah. So
how do you ride a horse that's 2'4"?
So like I'm imagining like they're standing next to this tree, and all of a sudden it starts moving, and like you pull back and it's actually like a Venusaur, and it making dinosaur noises. So you can have all this stuff, and then so they're being taken to this like location because there's like this information is inside the box that they have. So eventually they get to a volcano, and you get another kind of scary action scene where they come across this nest full of eggs. It cracks open. There's a little Charmander inside, and then you can see like the shadows. Like you can get like overhead shots, and there's like shadows running back and forth. And that's when you find out there's a Charmeleon. So you would have these would be based more on like Allosaur, not Velociraptors because they were tiny, but
Jurassic Park versions of Velociraptors, kind of.
So you would have that kind of scene. Then they would go running out, and then one of the trailer shots in my head is like the two, Ashley and the little boy character, like run out of a cave, and like a giant Charizard like busts through the rock after them. I think that'd be pretty.
I can see that. I can visualize that in my head. Like you could almost what's the word I'm looking for? You could stipulate that like the Pokemon, if you wanted to go that route, you could be like the Pokemon that live in this volcano like grew to an unnormal size,
or like even in this valley where they haven't been like captured and kept in Pokeballs.
Like what their actual size is left naturally to grow.
Yeah,
might be a little bit heavy-handed on the like conservation kind of note, but
I think that would like fit into the whole.
It still has it would still play, I think.
Yeah, and then you could also have like I was thinking like you could have Growlithe and Arcanines at the police department as like the K9 unit. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like
also, what I was going to say when you were talking about at the beginning, like the team of like SWAT guys on the YouTube when they redid the like Pokemon Red, that thing. One of the episodes they did had like a police SWAT team that had like Machamps with the SWAT guys like going in. But if we're leaning more away from like Pokemon in servitude roles, then maybe not have. But I mean, like that's a job. But
yeah, like maybe you could have like one in the background. It's like in the SWAT outfit, but it's like a big giant dude, and you're like, that looks weird.
That's a big giant dude. Yeah. What the hell is that?
So then you could have a bunch of chase sequences and running away BS around here where they're, killing a bunch of kill 20 to 30 minutes with them running away from different sized Pokemon. Let's see. And then this would be like with the point where everyone like slowly comes together all in the same locations. You'd have Jesse, James, Giovanni, Officer Jenny, her mom. They would all show up with this place, and that's when you would find out that her dad is actually still alive, and he's been like living in this valley because he's trying to find like there's this like power that that Giovanni is trying to get a hold of. And so like Professor Oak could have thought that her dad was trying to like protect it, but he's actually been trying to find it because he wants to use it himself. So it could be like a thing where like what I was thinking was like to juxtapose with the kid being bullied earlier, you know, her dad is turning this on trying to like, and between him and Giovanni, they're like these bullies that she has to stand up to.
Gotcha,
Like casting her as someone that doesn't stand up to anybody or anything is easily like pushed around. But like this is the point where she
by
has
the end
to,
of
like,
it, she earns that like I am going to stand up and actually like do something in this moment now.
Yeah. And then so you would find out that her dad has actually been like training the Charmanders and Charizards to like fight for him. That's when she takes her Pokeball out, and then there'd be a Dragonite inside of it. So these would be like, you know, actual dragons, like a dragon size, 2 dragon sized things, and they would be fighting each other. And then like the one image that I was thinking of were like the Charizard and the Dragonite are like fighting together, and they like fall on top of her dad, like on this like mountaintop where they're standing or whatever, and like the thing falls away. Giovanni, Jesse, James have to escape. And then you would have Idris Elba would come back at some point around this time, because like maybe they would find him on the beach. And then after Jenny and her mom he would be like, yeah, I know who that is. So they would bring him along to find her.
Real quick, another trailer shot would be of the battle between the Charizard and the Dragonite, where you would have them flying, and you would have them like spiraling each other, and then they would get up to a certain point where they were like building up their attacks, and then Charizard would do a flamethrower, Dragonite would do a hyper beam, and it would meet in the middle and cause this like giant explosion.
Yeah.
This like giant blinding light. That would look fucking awesome.
Yeah. See, I'm talking everybody into this. Well, those that are listening anyway. Let's see.
Cake is delicious. The
I do
cake
like
is a
cake.
lie.
Cake is the only thing real is nostalgia.
Also strawberry cake.
Also
Yeah.
strawberry cake.
What the recess was for cake.
And then so let's see. So yeah, so like that's been taken care of, and then you have Ashley would decide to stay out to be like not necessarily a Pokemon trainer, but like a protector to make sure that like
That place
they stay
was safe. Yeah.
And that's when you have like you could have her like you would start far away. She'd be standing like a bluff somewhere, and you would like do the zoom in. She was, and I wouldn't have her be named Ash Ketchum because that's just too like on the nose kind of dumb kind of thing. But, you know, she'd be like, I'm Ash so and so, and I'm, you know, et cetera, and then you would have like the score would build up and the strings would build up, and then it would blend into the original Pokemon theme from the old cartoon.
Like the theme song? Like,
Yeah.
Gotta get your mouth.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And yeah, so that would be, and then the credits would roll, and then I would put a stinger scene in there because you have to have your stinger
Gotta
scene.
have a stinger scene that has Mewtwo in it.
So it would be like there would be like sparks, and like it'd be like in the warehouse after the explosion. So there'd be like all this rubble and everywhere. And then it would be like a slow pan through all things. It would come to this test tube, and it would slowly pan up on the test tube, and the score is getting, you know, bigger and bigger and scarier and scarier. You would see Mewtwo's face, and then right as it opens its eyes, there's like the big crescendo, and then it cuts to black, and that would be the end.
Yep, that's accurate. That's how that stinger goes.
Yeah, so that would be that'd be how that ends. So for the trailer that plays in my head, it plays to the Man of Steel theme song. So if you just type Man of Steel theme, it should pop up on YouTube. I'll play it after this to get so that you can kind of get the image to that. But the final image of the trailer would be the Charizard like doing a T-Rex roar while shooting flames into the sky, and then it would cut to black over, and then you would fade in the title,
The Pokemon logo.
yeah, Pokemon title.
I would say, I would refont the word Pokemon. I would not do the blue and yellow.
I would probably just do like, instead of doing it like the tilted with like the shadow, the blue shadow with it, I would probably just do like a double layer gold.
Okay.
So you would have like the outline and then like the inner or outer outline around that, and just have it gold and shiny and all that stuff. So yeah, that's my idea for the movie that will never be made, but I think we fucking awesome.
Good job, guys. We made a good movie.
So yeah, thank you to everyone who listened today. Hopefully we'll get some of that Pokemon SEO traffic pickup, putting this out at the right time.
Yeah. Get a lot of those oops listens.
Yeah, like wait, what the
Fuck is this?
I'll just call the video Detective Pikachu review and see how long everyone can get in before they give up. So thank you everyone for listening. I will do some more stuff, and yeah.
Bye.
Hey everybody, after we finished recording, we realized that we had forgotten to discuss the most important aspect of any franchise, and that is the theme song. So after a brief kerfuffle, we did get back together and discussed that. So after we listen to that will be the actual end of the episode. So thank you for listening. Go ahead and follow at Moist Boys Pod on Twitter. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/moistboyspodcast. We have a lot of cool stuff we want to do, and with your help we can get that done. So once again, thank you for listening, and we will talk at you guys again later.
I hate to say it, because I'm not a huge fan of the. I mean, I don't know. I like some of their stuff, but Panic at the Disco would probably do a really cool version.
They
of it.
would.
That gets a groan from me. Just,
I mean, typically yes, but we gotta
How about Nickelback?
keep it well rounded here.
keeping it
That would-
well rounded. I mean, you gotta get the kids into the theater, right?
Right. Them kids love them Panic at the Discos.
The Panic at the Discos.
Kids love the Panic at the Disco.
I'm thinking you have to get like with the range that person, I don't know if it's a guy or a woman that does the original.
It's a guy. It's a guy.
To get that range though, it's a pretty rare thing. He gets way up there. So I think
really
you'd probably have to
does.
get like a woman to do it.
Let's have Ghost do it. Let's have the metal band Ghost do the Pokemon theme song.
I mean, there are plenty of male singers who have like a crazy, ridiculous range. As long as you're looking for somebody who can like controlled environment studio singing is a completely different beast from like live performance. And somebody who has a really good vocal range in his comfort zone, which is his studio and not as a performing artist because he never considered himself a performing artist, is Gautier. So Gautier gets my vote.
Oh yeah,
That would be kind of an interesting
I
rendition.
think he would do really well with it.
I think you could. Yeah, I think you could pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Perfect. Solved it.
Done.
Done.
Dun, 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 dun,
We're
dun.
real